Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Dietless Dieting Podcast. I am the creator and your host, Pamela Petrick. I am also known as the Dietless Dieting Coach. Welcome to a special holiday broadcast. And so I'm going to be sharing with you some tips and tricks that I normally share with my clients and those who attend my Dietless Holiday Blueprint as well. Got some interesting statistics when it comes to the holidays. Maybe you struggle and you overindulge and eat way too much over the holidays. And if you know my personal story and background is I used to binge eat, and holidays was a huge binge eating time. Let me tell you, I would binge all holiday long. And most of the statistics, when it comes to holiday weight gain and overindulging and stress, normally start mid November. But I gotta tell you from my own personal experience, my binging would start in October because we got all the Halloween candy. Can anyone relate to that one? So I would eat some of the holiday candy before Halloween would hit, and then I would buy the on sale clearance after Halloween candy, and then we're coming into Thanksgiving, and I would binge all holiday long, get the pumpkin spice latte, the peppermint mocha latte, all the different nice foods that are available at local coffee shops and that, friends and family would make for us. And I worked in healthcare. I am a registered nurse. I used to work in pediatric emergency room. I also worked at ambulatory surgery center with eye surgeries. I worked pre-op and post-op. And let me tell you, and if you work in healthcare, you can completely relate potentially where your coworkers bring in the crap. They bring in the crap. Okay, and it tastes really good. Okay, it doesn't taste like crap. Like it's yummy goodness. It really tastes great. But yet its temptation is everywhere. It is everywhere. Everywhere, everywhere. So I completely get it, which is why when I stopped binge eating and I put actions in place and I did a lot of mindset work, and I hate to call it just mindset because it's so much more than just mindset. And I looked at what was going on, the root cause, and so for me, holiday time, because I can completely relate, I like to give you tips and tricks on how to manage that. By the way, busy women come to me when they are ready to ditch the yo yo dieting, the weight regain, and they want holistic strategies and systems that work for their unique body. And when they come to me, because they want to lose weight now instead of later and get fit now instead of later. So when they come to me, we work to get their bodies into being fat burning machines. They get fit, healthy, and free and love themselves and their bodies in a way that they potentially have not been able to for years. For me, it was a lot of years. For my personal experience. So let's get dive into this. I'm going to read some statistics that I had looked up on my phone. So did you know that 95% of women who lose weight gain it back within 1 to 5 years? Most statistics show within 6 months or less. And I've worked in a couple different functional medicine clinics, and they have some really great. I have a functional medicine background, and they have some really great, by the way, legalities. I'm not a doctor. I cannot diagnose. I'm not diagnosing. I'm just helping you to make some connections, potentially what's going on with you, and some really practical strategies and tips to kind of overcome or get unstuck. 95% of women lose weight. Some research shows as high as 98% within 1 to 5 years. Mostly it's within 6 months or less. So talking about those functional medicine clinics, which are really good. They look at the root cause, but as soon as their program ends, which typically might be a 3 month or 6 month program, and they don't re-enroll, and they come back a couple months later, they've gained the weight, some of it, if not all, and then their labs are showing their health is going back to where it was, poor health. The average one, this statistic completely staggered me. Completely staggered me. The average woman tries at least 126 diets, 126 diets in her lifetime, over her lifetime, yet most see no lasting results. That was me. Like when I thought back, that's my 20-year-old cat Judah. If you kind of hear him, which is why I have my headset on, he will be in and out because that's how he rolls. So that was staggering. When I thought back over the course of by the way, I made the same New Year's resolutions 10 years in a row, probably more than that. So, okay, there's 10 right there from 10 years. And then as I started to look back, I'm like, okay, so dieting meaning you're attempting to lose weight. Okay, so when I look back, I'm like, oh gosh, was I at 126? I might have been more, to be honest, because I started kind of, excuse me, looking at my weight, high school, but it really wasn't that big of an issue. I kind of knew I was a little bit heavier than my peers and my family members. I had cousins who were stick figures. They were, I joked they would wear a -2 instead of a size 2. They were stick figures. And so, but I really got serious my freshman year, no, my junior year in college because I gained for the 25 pounds. For me, it was the freshman 25, not the 15. And then I studied abroad in France, and my two favorite things are cheese and bread. I ate my way through my study abroad. I ate my way through cheese and bread during that. So that was my first official diet. So I'm thinking this thing, and think for yourself, like, have you done 126 diets or more? Nearly 80% of people abandon new programs within the first month. That was staggering for me too. Like they completely abandon any diet but then it makes sense because life is always life on us. So potentially stress came in, maybe your routine changed, and now you're like, okay, maybe I'll look at that diet the following Monday, or maybe I'll work on it next week or next month when things settle down, right? But here it is, it's not your fault. The truth is that programs focus on quick fixes, right? 5 pounds in 5 days, or even more than that, and they're not looking at helping you, first of all, get to the root cause. Weight and poor health is a symptom that something is out of alignment in your body. It is a symptom. It could potentially be eating way too much sugar. Absolutely. It could be eating food that your body does not thrive on, and you are eating some foods, even healthy foods, that are a food intolerance. Causes stress on the body. Blood sugar instability, cortisol increases, causes stress on the body. So, a lot can come into play. Definitely hormones. But I'm here to tell you, women, that hormones impact you way before perimenopause, menopause. Your adrenals, your insulin, your cortisol, your human growth hormone. Lots more come into play. Leptin and ghrelin before you hit perimenopause, menopause. So, but never fear. Don't fear, because it's completely doable. It's completely doable. Once you get to the root cause and understand the root cause, yes, there is an initial reason for gaining weight. Can be an initial reason for gaining weight, but oftentimes there's a root cause that diets and a lot of weight loss programs, weight release programs, do not address the root cause. They're just focused on your actions. But if you don't get to the root cause, then you're going to see little to no success. And as I was discussing last night during my Revitalize and Reclaim event, if we don't get this adjusted, for lack of a better word, if we don't deal with your mind, then we're going to go back to your old patterns of behavior and going to be seen, which is why, remember, I said I worked in a couple of good, really functional medicine clinics and their weight release programs. I was a coach and a consultant helping their clients. It's because their programs didn't deal with this in length. I would touch on it during my coaching calls, but you really got to restructure, reconsolidate to the neuronal pathways of your brain. If we can learn anything, we can definitely unlearn. Remember, I studied abroad in France. It was immersive program, no English. And so when I came back after 3 months, after my semester there, I literally forgot the English word for washcloth. I literally forgot. And I'm explaining to my mom a scenario, like something that happened. I'm like, the serviettes. I had the serviettes in my hand, and she's like, what do you mean, serviette? What are you talking about? I'm like, the serviettes. I'm in the shower, I got the serviettes. And she's like, what? I'm like, the thing that you use to wash your body. This was back in 1995. Gosh, I'm dating myself now. And she goes, you mean washcloth? And she literally did not believe me that I truly forgot the word washcloth. So if we can learn something new, we can also unlearn things. So we can unlearn those past patterns of behavior. So all that to set you up for, we got to work on the mind, empowered mind, huge component of what I teach my clients. We dive a little bit in my workshop as well. helping them to understand. So my Dietless holiday workshop, where you can definitely not gain weight during the holidays without depriving yourself. You can still enjoy the flavors of the season, not depriving yourself. Let's be honest, sometimes there are some foods that certain family members make and they only make during the holiday times that you do not want to deprive yourself. You're like, come hell or high water, I'm going to have that. So my mom, when she was working, when we were in elementary, middle school, her supervisor that she had at the time would always make these macaroon cookies. Oh my gosh, they were to die for. My brother and I would always wait because her supervisor would put them in like a tin canister and wrap them up in saran wrap, and we're like, Mom, wait till Mom comes home with those macaroon cookies. I'm like, come hell or high water, I'm trying to be first dibs. Poor mom. Between my brother and I think she got maybe two or three out of the whole thing. Love you, Mom. But love those macaroni cookies too. So here's some tips and tricks I'm going to share with you that I just shared in my workshop that we just had. And so, by the way, if you want to get on my email list, and I'd mentioned the Revitalize and Reclaim event, I'll post the link below. It is a high quality event, Revitalize and Reclaim, where I dive deeper into all of this, into even mindset as well. I hate to call it just mindset, empowered mind, because it's so much more than that. It's reprogramming you need conscious mind. So tips and tricks you can do. First off, color psychology. There's a lot of psychology behind why we eat what we eat and when we eat. And did you know that the color red makes you eat more? I happen to have a red shirt on, so I gotta be mindful of not eating too much today. I'll probably switch out of this later, but it's just nice. It's the temperatures here in Florida dip down to the 40s. I'm like, let me pull out my long sleeve sweater, and it's so soft. Anyway, anywho, so yeah, red makes you eat more. Next time you're out and about, look at the signs of restaurants and fast food places especially. Look at the colors that are in their logos. Look at the colors that are inside. Chances are the seats are red. There's red in their logo. There's red somewhere. So guess what the popular color is, right, for Christmas? And even Thanksgiving we can have some reds too, right? More oranges and yellows, but sometimes reds. So you might want to switch the colors that you're using. So I try to do, by the way, blue is very calming. And when it comes to plate color, blue or beige or green if you have the option. Just try not to do red. Now, obviously, if you're going to and celebrating at someone else's house, you might not be able to control that. So, but when we eat off of a plate that has that color scheme, blue or beige, not red, we tend to not eat as much. Psychology of color. Number two, speaking about not eating too much, eat off a smaller plate. I don't have my plates with me. I usually demonstrate this, but there's usually like a salad plate that comes within your set. Not the dessert plate, because dessert plates are a little bit smaller. But the salad plate, I call it like a medium kind of size plate. If you have the option, choose that plate instead. Sometimes I will go to the dessert, if it's buffet style, like family style, just go get your food. I'm just going to eat buffet style. I will look at the dessert table and see what kind of size plates are there, if they're there. And if not, if I have an option of a salad plate, I will actually use my salad plate for the main meal. Why? Because we are very visual. I don't know about you, but I came from the Clean Your Plate Club. Let me know if you can relate to that one. And so if we see it on our plate, chances are we're going to eat it. And so when you eat off of smaller plates, you're not going to overindulge. And research shows that when you eat off of a smaller plate, your brain gets a visual cue like, hey, you're actually full sooner. It's quite interesting with that. So yeah, eat off a smaller plate if you can. If you do not have a smaller plate option, just put half of what you would normally put on your plate. Half. So if you do 2 scoops of mashed potatoes, do 1 scoop instead. And enjoy the food. Like literally, what's the flavor? What does it taste like? Slow down, chew your food, talk to the people around you, and then wait 10 minutes before going for seconds, because chances are you don't need seconds. And then you will have room for that dessert without feeling like you overdid it and you need to unbutton your pants or throw your sweatpants on or your yoga pants on after Thanksgiving dinner. See, we can truly enjoy the flavors of the season without overindulging it. And what I'm giving you today is how to eat. So if you are new on your journey of starting again, you don't need to completely change what you were eating. You definitely can for the holiday season, but just simply switch up how you were eating. How you are eating. So you can try this, and these are tips you can use at any time during the year. I use them year round myself. When it comes to smaller plates, definitely. Obviously, when you go out to a restaurant, you don't have control of that. So I tend to ask the server for a to go box, and I have them bring it out as soon as they can so that when my meal arrives, I cut everything in half and put that in my to go box. Out of sight, out of mind. Why? It's because I'm making a swap. I'm choosing to eat less of my meal because I want a little bit of dessert. And chances are you're not going to miss it. Next day, sometimes it tastes so much better. So we got smaller plates, the color of psychology, the psychology, color psychology. And then rate your food, RATE. Now, you probably already naturally do this. Yes, we do this naturally. So, but however, when we rate our food, meaning when we look at our plate, we know what foods we like the best right away. And we tend to save them for the end so we can savor it. And so we eat what's not our best first. And then we get to our best after we've eaten all that food. Guess what? We're probably already comfortably full, if not too full. But yet we've saved the best for last because we really want to savor it. And so we will eat it. Switch that up. Eat what you like best first and what you don't like as much last, so that if you find that you are already full, don't eat it. And you're not going to be tempted to eat it. By the way, another reason why if you save the best for last and then you have a serving of it and then you go back for another serving, you're kind of trying to chase the flavor that you know it should have. But as we eat and we're getting full, the taste diminishes. Our bodies are it's so creatively designed and created. It's amazing. But our taste buds, the taste will diminish as we're getting full. Back in my binge eating days, I thought, well, let me get another bite. Maybe I didn't have enough, which is why I couldn't taste the flavor of it. So, and then slow down your eating. Slow down. Chew your food 20 to 30 times, by the way. Put your utensil down in between bites. Take a sip of your beverage. How you eat is just as important as what you eat as well. So slow down. Enjoy the flavors of the season. You don't need to completely deprive yourself. Cut things in half if you don't have an option for a smaller plate so that you're not one of the how many people? By the way, holiday stress does make you eat faster. It does. And women experience the holiday stress more than the men. Of course we do. Of course we do. And normally the first almost 30% of women start to experience holiday stress the first week of November. It's almost like Halloween. All right, Halloween's done. Now we got to prepare for Thanksgiving, or maybe you have other things that are going on, and right? So holiday stress hits way before then. It hits the first week in November. And stress, when we're under stress, if you have in the past or presently or are eating foods, those comfort foods that give you a hit of serotonin, which makes you feel better, makes you feel content and helps you relax, and dopamine, you're going to be choosing those foods to counteract your stress. Now, you might be one of those high performing women that I work with who is already under a moderate amount of stress. It happens. So you don't really feel it. You're like, oh, I don't think I'm under stress because you don't, quote, feel it. I hear this a lot. But your body is working under a moderate level of stress and in a stress response, and probably if you are not proactively doing things to get your body out of a stress response, you're potentially eating some foods that aren't in alignment with you getting the results that you truly want, or potentially eating foods that are food intolerance for you. And so in order to get that serotonin and dopamine hit, so we really need some really good stress management techniques to put in and proactively do this, making sure we're actively doing this. I gotta admit, like, this is one of the things that I kind of struggle with on the daily. Like, it can be hit or miss, and I really have to be proactive and actually put it in my calendar. Stress management techniques. Why? It's because Soon as you wake up, you're hit with stress. Soon as you go home from work, you're hit with stress. Soon as you get to work, you're hit with stress, right? It's we're always hit with stress. And if you have any past trauma, you are more sensitive to what I call the pre-triggers. I had past trauma as a young age, and so at a young age, so my body is more susceptible to stress. And in fact, the pre-triggers. So usually there's a trigger that something that a stressor that triggers our body to go into a stress response. However, I'll give you an example of those of us who work in healthcare. Stress hits us when we come onto the unit, right? Just be honest. It hits us when we come onto the unit because, are we short-handed with a coworker? Are we short-handed? Someone call off, or more than one person call off. Like, what is our patient to staff ratio, patient to nurse ratio? I worked in the ER, so that was null and void for us, basically. So, and working in pediatrics, I would have more than one patient in the room because we have to have an adult in the room with them. Normally it's just mom or grandma. So if they're bringing in all 4 kids to be seen, guess what? I have 4 kids in one room, 2 in another room, and I had 4 rooms. So I could have a lot of patients at any given time. And then if you have 3 of them are ICU cases waiting to be going up to be admitted into the ICU, it's a whole snafu. Yeah. Anyway, so what can happen is your stress can hit as you're pulling into the parking lot or the parking garage. Your body can immediately go into a state of stress. So when we're stressed, now back in the day, it used to be our stressors were physical, something that we can run away from or something that we can fight. Most times in today's society, it's more of an emotional or a mental stressor. So we're not physically getting our body out of a state of stress. We're not naturally getting our bodies out of that state of stress. Here's what happens. By the way, stress impacts every single cell in our body. Here's what happens when we're under stress. Blood is diverted from our stomach and our intestines into our arms and our legs. Cortisol increases. You might hear of cortisol as a stress hormone, but it's a specific type of hormone called a glucocorticosteroid. It's a glucose hormone. It is just sugar hormone. Why? Why is it sugar? Think about it. If we need to fight a stress or run away from it, we kind of need some energy in the immediate, right? So cortisol, being a sugar, is our body's immediate source of energy to physically fight or to run, right? But because it's more mental emotional, we got some cortisol, we got some blood sugar is elevated. So if you were to check your glucose when you're under stress, your glucose is elevated. Check your blood sugar when you're under stress, your glucose is elevated. Yes, stress plays a huge role in blood sugar management as well. And blood sugar management, not just for the pre-diabetic and the diabetic, it is for every single person. You need to manage your blood sugar a little bit better in today's society. So stress. Now we got blood diverted from our stomachs, our intestines, to your arms and our legs. We've got cortisol has been increased. By the way, because blood is diverted from our stomach and our intestines, and we're in a state of stress, think sympathetic nervous system stress, it literally shuts down the parasympathetic nervous system, which is our peace, our rest, and our digestion. They are never on at the same time. It's either one or the other. And our body will always choose you. Your body will always choose you to manage your stress. And so digestion will be shut down. So now, even if you're eating really healthy, clean meal, foods that your body thrives on, you're really not uptaking it because digestion is shut down because you're under stress, literally. So the healthy fats that you're eating is now stored as future fuel in your body, in your belly, your hips, your thighs, wherever you tend to store fat. Your vitamins and minerals, we pee it out. Our small intestine cannot uptake it. So we pee it out, poo it out. And now your metabolic reserves are like being, it's like the gas in your gas tank is slowly dwindling to almost nothing. So, and then we're not uptaking the protein. So I see women will lose muscle mass, will lose muscle mass when under stress. My clients do not do a scale. I do not advocate a scale for my clients. They do something called an in-body. Another component is like the strike, where it's literally telling you your percent body fat, your lean muscle mass. In body can tell me phase angle, which is are your cells happy, and it tells me, it gives me a lot more information than just the scale. Scale tells me absolutely nothing. So what I look at each month is, are we decreasing percent body fat and are we increasing muscle mass? Right? You don't need to be don't need to be a bodybuilder. When I start to see fat increase, phase angle, decreasing, and muscle mass decreasing, I know it's stress. And I ask them, so how has been your stress? 10 out of 10 times. Oh yeah, it's a bad stressful event. Bad stressful event. Lost a family member, someone was in hospital, like all this. So why? It's because digestion is shut down and you're not uptaking that protein that you are eating for your body. So here are some ways. Remember, if we fight or flee, that's our body's way of the stressor, a way of getting out of the stress response. Because we're using the cortisol, we're using the sugar, and we're using our muscles, right? However, because most stressors are mental and emotional, and we're not physically combating them, we gotta be proactive. One of the best things research shows in order to combat stress and to literally turn off the stress response so that your rest and digestion is turned back on is deep diaphragmatic breathing. If you are not familiar with this, take notes. Take notes. I'm going to tell you why. Research shows it literally significantly lowers cortisol. Deep diaphragmatic breathing is used in therapy for PTSD and anxiety disorders. And so it actually tricks the brain because the brain goes, I thought I was stressed, but I'm breathing like a relaxed person. Oh, I must be relaxed. See, when we're under stress, things amp up. Our heart rate increases, our breathing increases, we breathe faster, our blood pressure gets higher when we're under stress. We get tight in our neck and our shoulders because we're like, we feel like we got the weight of the world on our shoulders. Can you relate to that? Right? So when it comes to deep diaphragmatic breathing, we really do need to. I mean, within 2 minutes or less. 2 minutes or less. So you can go on YouTube. YouTube's great. I have some videos on there as well. I'm Pamela Pedrick, RN, on YouTube. And so what that does is slows everything down and tricks the brain. So the brain's like, oh, I must not be stressed. Let me turn off the stress response and turn on the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and peace response. So I tend to teach my clients 5-5-7 breathing technique, which stands for inhale for a count of 5, hold for a count of 5, and exhale for a count of 7. So inhale 5, hold 5, exhale 7. So the exhalation is longer than the inhalation. You breathe through your nose. Inhale, hold, exhale using your mouth. The only way you can make that noise is by using your diaphragm. Sounds like Darth Vader or the ocean. When you inhale, your belly will expand. I don't know about you, but I grew up in a day and age where you suck the belly in. But this time, ladies, let her out. Let the belly out because that lets you know you're really taking a really good deep breath. You also want to sit in a comfortable position, feet on the floor. Mine's actually on a step stool. I'm on a shorter end of things. I'm only 5'1". And so any chair I sit in doesn't matter. I can never, my feet just don't touch the floor. So my feet are actually on a step stool. And you also want to look straight ahead. You can close your eyes, but you want to look straight ahead. You don't want to be like this because you're closing off your airway. Straight ahead and open up your airway. You don't want to be hyperextended either. Okay, look straight ahead. Neutral position. Now, when you first do this, you might be tight from stress, and you might not be able to inhale for a count of 5. You might not be able to hold. You might not be able to exhale. But as you continue to do this one after the other, you get more relaxed. You're able to hold the breath. You're able to get the air in. You're changing into the parasympathetic, the peace, rest, and digest side of the central nervous system, which is amazing. It's so, so amazing. Out of all the techniques that I share, this by far is the favorite of all of my clients and the women that I work with. However, it can be the hardest, not to actually physically do, but the hardest to remember to do. Because we're so used to go from task to task to task, call to call to call, da 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 da. that we're like, oh gosh, let me do some deep breathing. You can definitely do this before bedtime. Or if you're having difficulty falling asleep, stress, brain never sleeps, so the brain's always working through the stressors of life. So it can prevent you from getting to that good sleep. So 557, inhale, hold, exhale. Sorry, my mic cord is driving me crazy here. There we go. Lifing on you. So it's going to look like this. I'm going to demonstrate it for you. Okay, so I'm going to get more in the neutral position. All right, so I'm going to count with my fingers. All right. Kind of was starting to exhale on the second time. So that was 3 times. And I noticed with myself, I was a little bit tight. By the third time, I was like, ooh, taking that deep breath. Feels great. So that was 3 times. If you do it 5 times, that's 1 minute. If you do it 10 times, that's 2 minutes. So you can literally shut off the stress response in 2 minutes or less. Ta-da! Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. All right, so color psychology. No red, if at all possible. Eat off a smaller plate, if at all possible. If not, give yourself half of what you normally do. Slow down your eating, chew your food, put your utensil down. Wait 10 minutes before going up for seconds. If you do get dessert, get yourself half of what you normally would get. Enjoy every single bite. Slow down your eating. Taste buds are on our tongue. There's some in our esophagus, but not near as much as on our tongue. As the flavors diminish, you're getting comfortably full. So start to slow down, rate your food, eat what you like best first. That way, if you're full, don't worry about eating what you don't like best. Save that for last. 7, and deep breathing. Get your body out of the state of stress. Do some deep diaphragmatic breathing. Journaling and gratitude are also really good ways of managing stress as well. So I'm usually, if you can follow me on all the socials, it's usually Pamela Pedrick RN, or Dietless Dieting Coach is another way. You can look for me. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook, but not nearly as much. I'm kind of switching things around. I'm focusing more on LinkedIn because I'm here to serve women in healthcare, and like busy women, but women in healthcare especially. But I work with all. I've worked with realtors, I work with single moms, I work with teachers, I work with teaching assistants, I work with women in healthcare, social workers, nurses. I work with anyone and everyone. So I'm on Pamela Pedrick RN on socials. I also have a YouTube channel. Check me out, follow me, like, subscribe. And this is the Dietless Dieting Podcast with myself, Pamela Pedrick, Dietless Dieting Coach, teaching you how to find out what the root cause is of weight, something is out of alignment, but also giving you very practical tips and strategies to start your road to success without having to go on another diet, without having trying to figure things out on your own, without completely depriving yourself, so that you can give your body the proper nourishments, the proper environments, the proper hormonal balance, the proper movements, and the proper mind in order to realign so that you can see success that you want to see. By the way, I did have some people ask about my programs. I do have a Beyond the Fork Academy, which is a 6-month academy. Just simply reach out to me, and I'll give you a link if you want a consult on if that would be a best option for you. To your health, happy holidays, happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, happy Hanukkah, happy New Year. You can definitely have a dietless holiday season or a healthier holiday season and not gain the weight. I've actually had some clients release weight just by these simple strategies that I've given them, specifically managing stress and eating less and not depriving yourself to your health. Have a great day, everyone.